The movie Chappie, as well as this review, is brought to you by the Sony PlayStation 4. Go ahead and get yours today. Not really. Unless you want to. I don't know. This movie, as well as this review, is not really brought to you by PlayStation 4, but I saw an awful lot of them in this movie. So get your PlayStation 4! PlayStation 4! You can't live without it. Get your PlayStation 4. PlayStation 4! I got some smudges on it now. Hey everyone, David here. I haven't done a movie review in a while, but I'm doing one for what was one of my anticipated movies for not necessarily the year, because there are some stronger contenders, but definitely one of the first few movies that I was looking forward to an awful lot during the first quarter of the year at the very least. And that was Chappie, which is the next entry by writer and director Neil Blomkamp, who did District 9, and I love District 9, and he did Elysium, which I liked, but you know, after stepping away from District 9, me as well as other people were expecting a whole lot more. So how does Chappie fare off? Is it another District 9 or another Elysium? It's more of another Elysium. The story for Chappie is that a robot who's mainly programmed to be this kind of police officer gets reprogrammed to have a conscious mind. I know, it doesn't really sound that terribly original, but the execution is what matters. He interacts with these people, learns how to be human, and it's basically him struggling within the city of Johannesburg, South Africa, in this new alternate world where people have accepted robots for police force, but then there's other people such as Hugh Jackman's character Vincent Moore who are opposed to this. And that's the overall premise of the story, which, like I said, is very familiar, and we've seen it handled in previous films before, and sometimes even better ones. But one of the things that I did like about Chappie, in the sense of that whole theme about consciousness and about artificial intelligence and what does it take to be human, even if it is just a robot and doesn't have any actual living tissue. Even though we've seen it before, I like that Chappie does a good job at reminding us that theme. It's a theme that it's one of the most fascinating ones that any film can tackle, and I like films that are able to take that theme and remind us, you know, what does it take to be human? What exactly is in our soul that makes us human, different from a robot that is humanoid looking? And that's always a really good conversation starter, and I think Chappie does that very well. And what's also great about Chappie is Chappie himself. Chappie is easily the best part of the movie. He is funny, he is heartwarming, he's a very likable and sympathetic character. You actually feel for him whenever he's in danger. Plus, Neil Blomkamp, I remember him saying that he wanted Chappie to be kind of like a science fiction comedy, so when the comedy bits came up, Chappie delivered that very well and he had me laughing. I don't know if Sharlto Copley provided any motion capture, but he definitely provided the voice. If you guys don't remember, Sharlto Copley was actually the main character in District 9, the human character, and he was also the villain in Elysium. Here he plays the main character once more, only this time as a robot, not necessarily a human. And if he did motion capture for the character, then maybe we have found our new Andy Serkis. It's a humongous tragedy that I cannot say the same thing for almost the entire supporting cast. Now, to be fair, Dev Patel, as the creator of Chappie, or at least the creator of his consciousness, he's not that bad. I was expecting him to be kind of annoying, but he wasn't. And he pulled off. He was serviceable. And there's even shades to his character that are understandable. In fact, I would probably be in the same position as he is if I was in that similar situation. Hugh Jackman plays Vincent Moore, who is mainly the villain of the movie, and because we know ahead of time that he's the villain, whenever he comes across as a dick, we know that he's supposed to be the dick, and he plays it off very well. You can easily tell he's not necessarily having a good time, but he's putting in an effort. He knows what role he's been given, and he plays it off very well. Hugh Jackman has always been a great actor, and I liked him as a villain. Well, I should say I hated him, but that's kind of what you're supposed to do. And plus, he has a relatable opinion. He has an opinion about machines that I think an awful lot of people will agree with, myself included, even though I wouldn't go to the villainous lengths that his character takes. Who I couldn't stand are these two motherfuckers. Okay, well, maybe couldn't stand is a little bit strong, but man, I don't know what Blomkamp was intending to do with these characters. Actually, I take that back. I think I knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to have those two characters, with one of them being on Chappie's side almost immediately, which is her, and then the other one who kind of has an arc to where he kind of redeems himself at the end, which is this guy. But first of all, these two come across as complete assholes at the beginning of the movie, to where I'm like, no, I don't think I'm going to be able to like these people, and I really do not, okay? And when they do go through their arc, both of them, even her, who goes through the arc a whole lot quicker than he does, it doesn't really feel earned, because there's no slow development of their characters. There's no slow progression. They instantly switch. Her almost immediately, and him at the very end, where he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this now," and I'm like, it doesn't feel earned. It doesn't feel like their characters, and I ended up disliking them completely throughout the entire movie. And then I felt like the movie had a bit of a pacing issue, not because it felt disjointed or I felt like it dragged in certain parts, but on the contrary, I felt like it moved a bit too quickly. There were moments during the first half of the movie where I felt like it was just breezing through with its editing. I mean, it wasn't Baz Luhrmann level, but things were moving a little too fast that I felt like Blomkamp should have done one of two things with this movie. Either he should have made it 2.5 hours long, and I know that sounds kind of dreadful considering those two characters I just mentioned, but make it 2.5 hours and really flesh out the ideas that you have going on in this movie that have to deal with consciousness and humanity, and question both of those subjects and really ponder them, rather than just breezing through them quickly, all leading up to what I thought was a way too happy ending. Without getting into spoilers, this movie has so many bows at the end of it that I'm like, really? It's almost like Blomkamp wanted to make up for the endings of District 9 and Elysium, which are somewhat of a tragedy. They're both somewhat tragic endings. So it's almost like Blomkamp wanted to make up for those endings by saying, happy endings everywhere, and I'm like, dude, a really happy ending doesn't always make a good ending. But that's one of the first things he could have done. The second thing is to actually shorten the movie down to like an hour and a half or an hour and 45 minutes and just have Chappie navigating through this world, befriending certain people, and really bring about this revolution of machines that can change people's opinions that were opposed robots, and also enforce robotic rights or something like that, and really touch upon social issues that have to do with xenophobia, something that Blomkamp has done in the past with District 9. And he did very well in District 9. He could have done that easily here, but instead he just crowds his movie with too many ideas that it just doesn't fit within just a 2-hour movie. Fortunately, one thing that Neil Blomkamp continues to really excel at would be some of the action sequences that were photographed really well, and the visual effects are also magnificent, especially on Chappie, who I really thought was there the entire time. The lighting on the character and the way the character is designed is great, and he looks magnificent. Wouldn't be surprised if this movie does in fact get nominated for visual effects next year, in next year's Oscars, because they were actually that good. And you know what they say, the best visual effects are the invisible ones, and I feel like Chappie is one of the best visual effects we've had so far this year. So much like with Jupiter Ascending, there was a comparison, I feel like this is a very ambitious movie from Neil Blomkamp with some cool ideas that I felt could have been better treated if the movie was either shorter and he went along and sacrificed some of those ideas, or made the movie longer to actually flesh them out and give them a proper sense of pace. And just get rid of those two characters. Either that, or just change them up, hand them over to a third writer, because this was written by him and this one other co-writer, and have him or her punch up the screenplay to make those characters much more likable. Taking care of those two things would have made a great movie, but as it stands, I give Chappie a solid 7 out of 10. It's not a bad movie. I don't understand some of the hate that's actually being thrown at Chappie from some of the critics that I've been checking out recently. I've been trying to stay away from actual reviews, but you know, you got those one sentence quotes kind of summarizing their feelings about the movie, and I'm a little surprised by what they're saying. But I am getting a little scared that District 9 was beginner slug. Please, prove me wrong, Blomkamp. Prove me wrong. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.